Welcome to The Debaters Season 2, a debate game show for high school students here in Vietnam. The Debaters is produced by VTV, National Educational Channel of Vietnam, and British University, Vietnam. I'm your host, Dustin Xavier. So today is a very special round as it's the last episode of the semi-finals. Contestants behind me, tonight there is only going to be one winner. Without further ado, let me introduce the motion for tonight. That we would abolish primary and secondary school grades, years that group children based on age, and instead group them by competency and intelligence. That is a mouthful. Because I know in Vietnam, students are often grouped by ages. I'm not sure if there are exceptions in Vietnam, but I know in the US there are, but it's very, very small compared to public and private schools based in the US. And tonight, the students are going to be debating this motion, which will be very interesting because they are high school students as it is, and they will be going to university very soon. So without further ado, let me introduce the contestants for tonight.
I think that this motion brings a lot of possibility for changes in society. It talks about potential changes that can be made to the educational system right now.
I think that when we come to any kind of motion, we really need knowledge for that. So I really encourage each member in my team to read more in terms of paper, in terms of research, to understand totally about the educational system in different country, in the different nation, and see that, well, whether grouping student by age or grouping student by their intelligence, it could be likely to become more effective till the end of the day.
Well, me and my teammates have been preparing very thoroughly, so we are confident in our ability to at least have a good match and have a good chance to win this debate.
When I was announced that my team was chose to move on to the semi-final, I was burst into tears, and I was so happy that we are given another chance to be on this show. Because our opponent in this round is a strong opponent, it's a strong team, so we feel a bit nervous about this round.
First, I have to give them emotional support. It's about not winning anymore, it's about them being able to make it to the semis, and it's an achievement for them as well. So in terms of how the preparation works, I have talked with every member of the team, and they're prepared with their speeches already. At the same time, I think that they're very firm that they would really stand with the motion, and I hope that it will be elicited during the actual round.
Contestants, I'm going to start with the proposition team. You lost in the last debate, but the judges decided on your team to come to the semifinals. How do you feel?
We are happy.
It's been a challenge for us to cope with this motion, but I think that we are pretty well prepared today to compete with my opponent, the champions.
Good, because the team that you guys lost to, THX, is moving to the finals. So if you do win tonight, that will be a very interesting debate because of the history from the casting all the way throughout the show. So we will see what happens. The opposition team, the champions, how are you guys doing tonight?
Okay, we're feeling kind of good, at least me personally. I think we prepared very thoroughly, and I think we got a good shot.
Yeah, because last round you guys won. They didn't. The judges picked them. So do you feel it's more of an advantage for you, or just kind of indifferent to that? Or?
No, because everybody who made this round are very capable players, so we won't be underestimating their team.
Yeah, they are actually quite a strong team. And then we have the British accent versus Rap Viet's next superstar. So this will be interesting. I hope you two pair up. I would love to see that, because the last debate went extremely well. Students very capable, performance phenomenal. And for you guys, I know you're going to do well. So the champions, thank you so much. And of course, we need our lovely judges. Without further ado, let me introduce the contestants for tonight. From the proposition team, Team Chocochips, please welcome Do-fan, Chung. From the opposition team, Team The Champions, please welcome Giữa and. All right, girls, congratulations. You're in the semifinals. Okay, I'm very much looking forward to the debate because you guys all are the best of the best so far. So for me personally, I'm going to enjoy this quite a bit. For the first round, you have 3 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is not open. Proposition team, you will be going first. Opposition team, you will be going second. Girls, do you understand?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Audience, viewers at home, let's begin the first round.
Should not be an indicator of intelligence. The educational system in today's world creates an environment where students are learning not because of their personal development, but for the external demands from their parents, from the social standards, from the school's reputation, etc. Therefore, students are influenced by a mindset that studying is a way to achieve goals, to get good points, and to proceed to higher years. And that is why age-based class system should be abolished for the benefits of all the stakeholders in primary and secondary years. And we are here to stand with the motion. There are two main stakeholders, the students and the teachers. Now, moving on with some clarifications. So what is our policy by meaning abolish? It means we will shut down the current mode of institutions, grouping primary and secondary schools grades based on age. Instead, we group them by intellectual intelligence and competency, and that emotional intelligence can be still formed when they go out and play with their peers. Here's the mechanism of our policy. At the beginning of every year, students will have to take IQ tests. Then the average results of these tests will decide which level of class is suitable most for their competency and intelligence. Two main arguments in proving why our policy is right. Firstly, the new mode of education will address ageism. Secondly, our policy is proving it's beneficial for the stakeholders. So, two problems of ageism that our policy will address. A, the overage students. So UNESCO research states that in developing nations, a large number of poor children couldn't attend school at the right age because of their circumstance, which with age-based existing schools, they find learning school unlikely because of the stigma that they are out of age. Moreover, the society has a narrative that because of their age, they are less welcome since they have to stabilize to make a living. Therefore, our world eliminates this stigma because when we create grades based on intelligence and competency, that they can pace their way of learning fairly. B, the narrative from early stages that an exact age must be equivalent exact school grades, meaning that students will proceed to higher grade years beyond their age, even if they have not attained the acquired knowledge of the grade. But still, they have to go with the flow because of the parents' pressure, because of the school's reputations, etc. This way of learning is useless and it makes them doubt their intelligence. Instead, in our world, we allow them to make the most of their ability. So, with this reason, proud to propose.
Firstly, coming to some rebuttals. On your side of the house, you said that nowadays students are still learning not because of their own personal development or their student development, but because of school's reputation or parents' demands, etc. You also said that these students are studying for getting good grades only. However, we believe this is a backlash that happens on your team, and this will be argued by my next speaker. Moreover, you said that when students are out of age, they are less welcome in school because they are stabilizing to make a living. We believe that your policy will create a bigger problem on this because some minority don't get access to education, and this will result in them getting in the lower intelligence classes. And finally, you are saying that the students will doubt education. Well, we believe that this happens in your world, and we will prove it later in our speech. Now, more your rebuttals will be integrated in my speech and arguments. Now onto our case. Coming to this debate, we want to prove that we shouldn't group students by ability because it would bring more harm for multiple stakeholders of students, teachers, parents, and the school. And our side believes that a good learning environment should include support from schools and teachers and also peers and parents. And in today's debate, students of elementary and secondary school are at the age of development, self-exploration, and observation, and therefore they really like to imitate and follow others, and they also worry about their socialization or how others think of them. But first, what is the purpose of education? We think that especially in primary and secondary school, the goal here is not to push them for academic success, but to teach them to socialize, build good self-esteem, and experience happiness. A prime example here is Poland's successful education system, which during 9 years basic education, students are not selected into ability groups, but they are rather guided on certain skills that enable them to become independent and active adults in society. Now we will move on to the first negative impact of grouping by intelligence. Well, learning ability can be impacted by many factors, not just intelligence, but socializing ability, inner self-motivation, and happiness. And we think that grouping by intelligence will completely decrease learning ability. Why? A. Socializing ability is an important factor which can't exist in any class group by intelligence, and there are two levels to why it is difficult to socially interact. When I was 5, I liked talking about Barbie dolls, but of course, when I was 10, all I could think about was getting a boyfriend. And you can see that even though we might have the same intelligence level, that doesn't mean we can share and talk about the same interests. Secondly, due to different cognitive levels, underperforming students tend to be more shy and insecure to reach out for the higher performing students, and reverse, because one, they're feeling like they're not at the same level of understanding, and two, schools don't encourage the two groups to communicate because they don't contact each other often. And because of this, A, there will be a loss of motivation to learn because they don't have the sense of belonging to any group, and they don't feel happy at school, which brings their academic performance down. And B, the underperforming kids tend to develop their character as introverted, shy, or insecure. And at this point, we want to focus further on underperforming students. One, the underperforming students are labeled as weaker and at a time when they haven't shown their full potential yet, so they tend to underestimate themselves. And although we believe that labeling can happen on both sides of the house, underperforming students will visualize the problem more easily on your side of the house, which would create a larger gap. And in terms of support, it is not effective for any student because in class there are no higher performers to help the lower ones. Thank you.
Girls, first round is over. So, and you look a little bit happier now than you did at the start. And gee, you look a little bit disappointed. Are you disappointed?
No.
No?
No. I'm just nervous.
Okay. Nervous is understandable. I'm even nervous. The judges are nervous. I think the audience is nervous. So everybody is nervous. So we all can relate. ŁN gave you a like. Do you think you're going to do well with the judges?
I hope so. I think it just means that she likes one of my ideas, but like overall, we don't know for sure yet.
Because again, you guys, when you come up here and do this for all the contestants, especially in the semifinals, it blows my mind. But judges, look at that. No response from them. They are so involved with their notes. This is going to be a challenge for them. Hugh, let's kick it off with you.
Now, with the proposition team, nice, clean setup at the beginning, okay? However, when you go to your particular problem of arguments, I think you kind of start to narrow down just to developing nations, right? So you have to give me a clear context. Are we just discussing about developing nations now in this debate motion, or are we talking about the whole world in general, right? So I really want to see, like, where do you stand? Which context are you standing on, right? With the opposition team, I think your rebuttals, you have basically you name out 3 weaknesses, but you kind of like delay the other 2 and you only address 1. I think it's the same kind of weakness that you have. I have seen you in the previous round, which is like you're not strong in rebuttals. So a lot of rebuttals are very rushing or are disregarded as well. I think it's the weakness you have to improve. I think you do a good job on really see what is the goal you're trying to aim at, which gives you the foundation for your argument. That's why when you go to the socializing factors, the cognitive level, I think it's a good building up to the arguments. And for that particular reason, my 10 points go to the opposition team.
All right. Thank you, Hugh. Stuart.
When it comes to talking about education and talking about the ramifications of whichever policy that you decide to go into, there are a lot of stakeholders and there are a lot of different aspects and perspectives that you can take to look at this. With the proposition side, I was a little bit disappointed that you narrowed this down just to students and teachers, although I'm anticipating in your following rounds that that's going to be widened a little bit. I like the fact that you outlined what your policy would be to actually give us a little bit of a tangible understanding of what the policy would look like, but I didn't feel like there was much explanation or grounding for why your policy is as it is. For the opposition sides, I actually think your rebuttal was really good for that. So actually, if you're out of age, then it's perhaps once you return back to school, you'll be put into a lower level ability, and that's also going to affect their self-motivation. So actually, whilst they had a strong point, I think actually your rebuttal for that round was good. Also, do like the fact that you outlined what education is in your perception, and the fact that all of your points are building up to support this notion of education. I actually think your strongest point was the notion of students are being placed into certain levels at a time where this label might actually provide like a bit of an identity on them. And that's the point that I think you guys need to push forward, because I think there are a lot of ramifications for that. I think that the impact of that can last further than just this group of students. And so that's the point that I think you guys should be pushing in your following rounds. Comparing the two, for me, it was actually slightly clear. I rarely say this, but for me, I think actually the strongest side, and who will get my 10 points, will be the opposition side for that round.
Okay. Thank you, Stuart. And last but not least, Oi.
So I felt like it's really interesting first round, because in this round, I can see that both teams are kind of like opposite to each other. Strategy-wise, the prop side, you brought up, simple ideas, and it's actually easier to bring up. However, it's going to be very hard to impress, especially when you're at the semi-finals, and it's either go hard or go home. Well, I think that in this round, if you want to secure the point, you definitely have to impress the judges with your ideas. So you brought up to me two main ideas. First of all, you talk about how the out-of-age students going to be welcome. I think this is a very nice idea, and you're very considerate when you talk about this group of students. My question is that, should we abolish a whole system in order to benefit specific groups of students like that? The second group you talked about was that how the narrative of age and schooling should go along side by side, and I do think that it's not very well developed. But I would say that that's a very strong foundation, and if you guys can further develop it, and I'm sure these ideas are quite easy to defend, I will see that your team will have huge development in the next round. For the upside, I think that you go completely different. You went for very big, hard idea, which is going to be difficult. It's going to be time-consuming to bring up, but it can easily impress the judges. And I think it's kind of work on your terms this time. I really like the ideas about socializing, and you connected very well with the initial goals of education for primary and secondary school, which I highly recommend, and I'm highly surprised at this particular strategy that you guys brought up. So that's a very smart move. So my 10 points ultimately will go to the opposition side.
So currently right now, the proposition team, Team Chocochips, they have 0 points. To my left, the opposition team, Team the Champions, they took all 30 points. However, this is the first round and things can still change. We will start the second round after the break.
This way of learning is useless, and it makes them doubt their intelligence.
Due to different cognitive levels, underperforming students tend to be more shy and insecure to reach out for the higher performing students, and reverse.
With the proposition side, I was a little bit disappointed that you narrowed this down just to students and teachers.
So welcome back to Debaters Season 2. Without further ado, let me introduce the contestants for the second round. Coming from the proposition team, Team Chocochips, please welcome Wing, Zhu, Jang. All right, from the opposition team, the champions, please welcome Fanlei, Tai, and Okay. So interesting turn of events so far, but girls, how are you feeling? Jang.
Oh, well, I'm a little bit nervous because, you know, they are the champion,
Yes.
as they call it. But, yeah, you know, I'm the girl with, like, full confidence, so, yes, it's okay.
Actually,
Just a piece of cake.
you two in this debate are probably my favorite speakers because of your speaking style. So we'll see how the judges respond to this tonight, but it's something that I enjoy. Oh, how you doing? You're winning by 30 points.
Which makes me like way more nervous because
Really?
I'm going to keep up that, right? That's my team spirit, that we're gonna go like do our best together as a team. And which is why I'm very nervous by now, as I have a very confident opponent. at the
She's
same
also
time.
a strong opponent as well.
Yes,
Both
I
of you
know.
are very strong. So it's something I'm looking forward to, but don't be that nervous though. Let's get started. All right. The second round, you have 4 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is entirely open. Proposition team, you will be going first. Opposition team, you will be going second. Girls, do you understand? Yes. Wonderful. Let the second round begin.
The opposition side here told that we are preventing them, the student, from being socializing. However, we believe that which makes us be friends is personality, which is not the matter of age. And moreover, if the students are in the same level of intelligence, it will be easier for them to talk and to connect because they are in like same level. And even though, if it's not the case, we do not paralyze their function to be sociable because we still have break time. They still can go out of the class and they still can attend the clubs at school, so they will be able to make friends. That's the first rebuttal. And the second one, opposition side say that we will decrease the learning ability of them in the mixed class. However, we believe the learning ability will only be decreased in the mixed class where teachers have to cope with different students with different method of learning. And we do believe that the underperformed students in the mixed class will be shy and they will be afraid of like learning and questioning to understand because they are afraid of being judged by intelligent one, which we will like analyze more in our argumentation. So let's come to our argumentation. Our policy is beneficial to all stakeholders in this debate. Let's come to some characterization today. First, the intelligent students, they can acquire knowledge fast, and once they learn the basic, they will ask more and more in order to satisfy their intellectual curiosity, and this will make the lecture more and more advanced. For those who are not intelligent, they need slow-paced lecture to fully absorb the knowledge. They lack a sharp mind to analyze the information in order to acquire this. Thus, what they have to improve first is the thought, the way they think. So we can see that each group has its own goal, which requires specific method, and letting them study in a mixed class will make it harder for teachers to build a suitable curriculum for all. In that class, each group of students will receive appropriate materials, which means classification has existed already, and below average students cannot feel free to question in order to understand the lecture, for them to be scared of being judged by intelligent ones. So let's come to our policy, how our policy will work in this debate. After dividing students into different classes, we can provide them with suitable lectures. A, for those who are intelligent, students can receive the preparation of the curriculum, which is more effective for those who are incredibly smart, and teachers can deliver them in appropriate pace. They would be comfortable to immerse themselves in an environment where complexity and the appropriate level of lectures are taught without any interference of other non-equal intellectual fellows, and even if they being competitive in the class, is an advantage for them to use their own ability to compete with other students in order to improve the fullness ability of those students equally. And B, for those who had lower ability to comprehend knowledge, the lectures given from the teachers could be suitable for most of them by reducing the burdens of preparing a compromised curriculum for most students in mid-class. They would focus on finding suitable method of learning and By eliminating the picture of high-quality student at class, they will be more confident to show they don't know things to teachers to give them the information easily. As a result, we can alleviate teachers' pressure, decompress them from multitask in mid-class, and they no longer have to search for an optimal choice for all students, which does not exist. Thank you.
In 1944, William Sidis died young alone just because he cannot meet the expectation of the parents and society as a genius, and we believe that proposition education system is trying to create more and more Williams. But before that, I would like to bring out some points of contention to side proposition idea. First of all, you bring out to us a very flawed policy when you say that, oh, at the beginning of the school year you would do IQ test to test the student. However, IQ test does not mean how much you know, it means how fast you learn. Therefore, a person IQ test score is proved to be consistent and do not change much over time. And only by using IQ tests, you are putting the students or adults not smart into a situation when they have none too little chances to advance to a better class. Because education only helps students to learn more, and it cannot change the speed that the children can comprehend the information. Therefore, your policy will limit all the potentials of these students to ever move up to a better class or to the next level. But second of all, when you bring out the idea to us why your side of the house will be able to make friends, since some of the but however, we say that the same intelligence level does not mean that they have the same biological and psychological development. Because like simple as this, a 10-year-old kid wanting to have a girlfriend is totally different from a 5-year-old kid wanting to watch Superman as cartoon. Not to mention all of the bullying situation that will happen that will be further explained in my case. But you also say that, oh, then they will have break time. But will you think that the students from the less smart group will have the courage to talk with the smarter group when you also say that, oh, then the underperforming kids in the same class would be very shy, like even in the same class, to like speak up for their own. But then you also say that, oh, the curriculum is not suitable for everyone. However, we say that this is not true because there are currently many different solutions, because there are competitions for better students to compete, and there are additional class for students who are less in order to learn in. And even if our curriculum are not balanced, then on your side, even if you have the most balanced curriculum, then we tell you that the purpose of education isn't just about individual academic development, but also about how the kids prepare for life, and this will further be explained in my case. Now, moving on to my case, as my previous speaker has already approached and proved how this education system will put a huge negative impact on the low academic performance group through labeling, I would like to move on to how labeling itself will confront both the cognitive and psychological development of students from the good academic performance group. Now, we tell you that while labeling will exist on both sides of the house, then on upside, the impact will be way lower, since they will make a few low marks can change the rank in class, but still allow them to make mistakes because they won't be put down to another level. But on proposition side, with academic performance going down, they will be put to a totally different level and will be labeled less smarter than before, and they will have that undealable pressure to meet with the expectations of the schools, of the parents, of the teachers who care about their reputation, right? But when they fail to meet their reputations, it's very likely that they will have the mental breakdowns. But even if in the case that they can meet that expectation, then school experience would totally be about competing against each other instead of finding enjoyment and make friends, and they would just put themselves into a situation where they have to live the life under other expectations for the rest of their lives like they have always been. Now, at that point, we want to question the purpose of education on your side of the house, because we believe that education isn't just about having spectacular achievements or competing to be the best student academically. It's also about creating an environment that serves as a basis for students to self-awareness, to know their goals, and to set motivation on their own. It's also about giving the foundation to develop the members of the society, in other words, socialization and the ability to get along with others. And it's also the world where students serve as others' guidance, a world where no one is forced to live under pressure from others and no one is left behind. But moving on to our idea about how it will demotivate teachers, is that every teacher wants to be referred to as excellent teachers. Therefore, those who are divided into classes with low academic performance group are likely to work unwillingly because they are unhappy with their job since they do not get much recognition, and they would rather focus on themselves rather than having ensuring the brighter future of students, which is not appropriate when considering the the morality of teaching. And for all of the reasons mentioned above, we are more than proud to oppose.
All right, I'm just going to get straight to the judges. Hugh, we'll do Hugh first.
Thank you, guys. I think this debate difficult to judge for good reason. Now, with the proposition team, I think you do a good job on your rebuttals. I do agree that the opposition team have a very strong argument about the difference in psychological development and cognitive level. It makes it hard for students of different ages to socialize. And I think with such a strong argument, your kind of like mechanism of like have mixed break time, I think with such a strong argument, that is the best you can do. And I think it solves the problem to a certain extent. So I take that. With the argument, you start to develop into now teachers. And I think that is a strong argument that really support you guys because teachers' ability is limited. And we the current problem of education is big class size, diverse ability. So bringing that limitation of teacher to teach diverse classes is a very spot-on argument. With the opposition team, your rebuttals also work as well, which is you really question the validity of the IQ test. What does it really test and how relevant it is? With the curriculum situation, I think the proposition team bring up a very strong argument of it's very hard to create a curriculum for mixed level class. And I think you guys still have not resolved that yet, which means the third debater need to address that. You start to move on to the teacher perspective as well, but I think it's really towards the end. You do not have enough time to really consider the impact of the perspective of teachers as well as the other team. That's why in this round, my 10 point go to the proposition team.
Interesting. Stuart.
Proposition side, Chang. Slightly unlike you, I wasn't that convinced by your rebuttals. I do see where you're coming from with the break time and that there is an opportunity for students to socialise, but I felt, for me, it was a little bit weak for the first rebuttal. With your points regarding put in your policy, then students will have more effective curriculum because they're more kind of tuned for that particular class or that particular level. I like that as a concept. But when you brought up the other kind of arguments, I felt there was a little bit of recycling of the ideas. So I didn't really feel like you got past the idea or the notion that actually if we have these classes and these levels, that the content is always going to be kind of appropriate for that level and that's going to be good for the development of the student. I think that's a fantastic idea, but for me there wasn't much development from that. And I think actually the following ideas that you brought up were kind of just slightly differently worded versions of the same concept. Okay, opposition side. Anne, I thought your rebuttals were good for that one. I think actually questioning the mechanism, questioning the IQ test is good, and you didn't just question it in terms of, we're not just looking at intelligence, but you're also looking at what does the IQ test actually represent, and it's the speed of learning things, and that doesn't actually fall within your notion of education. For me, though, looking at both sides, I've come to my decision after convincing myself, and I'm gonna still go for the opposition side for this one.
All right. Oi. Hi.
Well, it's certainly not easy to judge in this particular round because I think both teams have done a really, really good job. Now, in this debate today, I would judge based on three main factors. First of all, in terms of socializing interactions between students with each other. Now, in this one, you guys stand neck by neck with each other because prop side told me that interest and intelligence is what connects people together, while op side said that psychological and biological factors is what binds students together. I think that these four factors all by far equally impact how a friendship is built. Therefore, I cannot further adjust which team is doing better in this particular round. The second round I'm looking at is how the teacher is going to be impacted in this particular case. Prop science told me that teachers are going to be easier to teach because they can give suitable curricula, but there was no further than that. Offside told me that teacher will be demotivated because they have low recognition, and there was no further arguments on that. So on the second rounds as well, I felt like as a teacher, these two factors also equally impacted each other. So there's not a clear cut between which speaker is doing better. The last round I'm considering right now is how the study pace and ability is adjusted. On the op side, they set up a goal in here that education goal, as we mentioned before, is for socializing. So side told me specifically that so even in the case of academic success, it's not achieved completely on their side of the house because this is not the majority goal in here. It is actually okay for people, for students to prioritize socializing. And I was like, did prop side say anything against it? Did they, like rebut or disagree anything with this particular goal? And I thought there was no effort from prop side. So basically you agree with that strategic goal set up by op side this particular round. So I think that it's quite clear which team I will give my point to, which is the op side.
Judges, thank you so much. Contestants, thank you so much. Please return back to your seats. So currently to my right, Team Chocochips, they have 10 points. To my left team, the champions, they have 50 points. There is a big gap right now. However, this could potentially change with the third round and final speech. We'll be back to you right after the break.
And letting them study in a mixed class will make it harder for teachers to build a suitable curriculum for all.
We tell you that the purpose of education isn't just about individual academic development, but also about how the kids prepare for life.
Well, it's certainly not easy to judge in this particular round because I think both teams have done a really, really good job.
Welcome back to today's third round of the Debaters Season 2. Currently, right now, we are in the semifinals and going to start the third round. So without further ado, let me introduce the contestants right now for the third round. From Team Chocochips, please welcome ŁNG Hጢ. From the champions, please welcome Nguyễn Minh Nam. All right, I'm going to start with you, Hጢ.
Yes.
I asked Chang how she's doing, but it's inevitable. I have to ask you, how are you doing right now?
Super nervous because I can see that my opponent, they are like 50 points forward and we just only 10. And I hope that in this round I can get all the points from the third speaker from the champions.
It's still possible. It's going to be challenging, but I believe in you. I think you can do it. And if you guys do end up winning this tonight, you will be moving to the finals, and that would be probably one of the biggest turnarounds ever in the debaters' history. All right, Nam, doing okay?
Oh, yeah.
Again, you have a big point difference right now.
Yeah, I realized that.
But you know they can still win it.
Yeah, they definitely have a chance.
Okay, good. I need you guys to bring your A game and do the best you possibly can. All right. The third round, similar to the second round, you have 4 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is entirely open. Proposition team, Hጢ, you will be going first. Opposition team, Nam, you will be going second. Gentlemen, do you understand?
Yep.
All right. Let's begin the third round.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to this debate, which side can ensure the development of the children in educational system, also eliminate the narrative in the society, which is age is only based on the education, is the winning team today. So first, let's come to the issue that the opposition side have given to the proposition. They stated that educational purpose is not only about intelligence, but also about the social skills, right? I can say that the proposition side can answer this question as well. We can ensure both intelligence and social skill. So first, two responses. First, socialization should never be based on age. In the real world, right, connections are never contingent to social status and age themselves. For example, an old man can be a friend of an university student. Why? Because it's an inherent value. That's when you like a person, and you don't see the age as a barrier to stop talking to them. Second, proposition never paralyze these students to mingle with the peers they like. They still can go up and after the class and have snack with their best friend from other class. They can play sports, talk with each other. It means socialization with good peers is still achievable in the affirmative side. So basically, in this mean the social is only solved in the proposition. And coming to this debate, there are two issues. First of all, which side maximize of the elimination of the narrative in society, and which side can optimize the purpose of the education. So first response is to the first clash. Education should never be ageism. Education should be received by everyone in this society, regardless of their age. In the opposition side, they are trying to keep the narrative that age is the matter. That when you are over age, you cannot come back to the educational field because they will be considered as stupid, have the problem with comprehension by the society, even though the fact that at the age of learning, they just simply couldn't afford for school financially. Therefore, when they can actually pay for the education, they won't take that chance because they are shy. They feel ashamed because of the narrative of society. So therefore, by our own policy, we are trying to send a message to the world that education is for people. It's for every people, regardless of their age. Therefore, this narrative will only be eliminated in the affirmative side. And second of all, come to the second issue, that which side can optimize the purpose of the education. So I've engaged with the opposition side, right? They only talk about like educational systems. It's not only about intelligence, but also about the socializing. But I have a question that the intelligence only be taught inside the class, right? But in this case, we still go outside and play basketball and be socializing with friends because we still have social club in the school, right? So therefore, I believe that this problem about socialization wouldn't be the problem in the proposition. Second of all, the oppositions haven't sold the ideas that when they are staying in the class, right, they still have the different gap between the low quality student and the high quality student, and therefore they still cannot answer the question that why the teacher they can give the best lecture and curriculum for all of those students in the class, right? Because they are assuming that this is possible in the class and they can cope with both disease problem. And coming to the proposition, while this policy can solve all of these worst cases in the opposition side, when we come here and divide clash into the more appropriate one, when we talk about low perform student in society, it's not because they are stupid, it's because they have met different approach in their teaching themselves. So because therefore, when they stay at the right place, they can reach most appropriate lecture from the teacher. Therefore, when we want create any of high perform and low perform student in the society as well. And in terms of intelligence and social skill, I believe that the proposition side have already taken this way in this debate. That's why I'm happy to propose.
My speech will be divided into two parts. First, I will offer a rebuttal to the point that team proposition has brought to the table, and next, I will summarize this debate and also figure out which side has won this debate. First, they say that in mixed class, students in same age class, students can't develop into full potentials and are held back, especially students with high academic performance. First, there will always be weaker and stronger students in society. It exists in my case and it exists in their case. But in their case, uniquely, those low-performing students are held back in a different class. They are essentially segregated and never given a chance to rise up, to look up to their peers. Next, they say that in a same age class, the curriculum holds students back. Why? Because they say teachers don't have enough abilities to teach, to focus on students individually, and thus the curriculum won't work with all students good. So because curriculum are made by school councils, they are made by Ministry of Education, such as the Common Core system in the US and the national curriculum in Vietnam. Thus, they are made to ensure that they provide the best knowledge to, most suitable knowledge to the most students, the majority of students. Next, they state a lot of benefits of mixed classes, but they never actually give us empirical evidence. A research conducted by Department of Psychology at the George Mason University compared mixed class and same age class efficiency on students' learning efficiency and concluded that there are no benefits of mixed classes over traditional teaching setup, mostly because students do not socialize as much in mixed classes and thus do not learn from each other and thus cannot improve. Moving on to my opinion, to my speech. There are three important questions that needs to be answered in this debate to ensure which team wins. First, why education at a young age isn't about just academics, but also about socialization. Next, why my team achieved a better educational outcome compared to the proposition team, and why opposition team, my team, is the only side able to give students social and communication skills. First, team proposition pushed the idea that students should be put into a position where they need to have high scores, need to achieve high achievement at a young age. Students labeled as intelligent have to live up to extremely high expectations by adults and keep it up all of their lives. They do this by creating a competitive students environment
creating a toxic competitiveness in students, forming those students' personality into people who do not accept defeat. Thus, those students in life, people make mistakes, right? But in life, those students unable and unwilling to accept failures and thus can never learn from that, leading to extremely negative mental health for students. Next, on my team, we focus on building characters and make students happy, allowing them to share and socialize with each other. They need passion to pursue higher education and develop themselves. Secondly, on my team, we are here to provide a better educational system, better educational outcome compared to the proposition team. Why? Because on our case, students performing highly have competitions, have tests, advanced tests that are not forced on them by the schools, and thus do not create pressures. On team propositions, they have an environment of toxic, intense competitions, caring only about scores and achievements, label students as intelligent, and in a mixed-age environment, creating jealousy between students and inevitably lead to bullying. Third and final point, communication, socialization. We are the only side in this debate who actually give students these skills. We give students the opportunity to cooperate, communicate, socialize with each other, which is important in a working environment, which is the ultimate of school, leading students to success and having a job. In a working environment, you cannot say, no, I will not communicate with other people around me. You have to communicate. In the proposition team side, they do not achieve that. They cannot guarantee it because segregation is their factor in the first place. That's the end of my speech.
All right, gentlemen, congratulations. It's done, because you guys will not be doing the final reply speech, correct?
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Judges, let's start with Stuart.
For Khang, this case, I do like the notion that, you're saying socialization shouldn't be just based on age, and you did give some examples of that. So, younger people could be friends with slightly older people, or an old man could be friends with a teenager. I do understand that as an example, but I think actually in the specifics of this example, where you've got primary school students and secondary school students, whether that would be mirrored in that context. The second bit, where you're saying, no, they still have the opportunity to go and socialize, for me, that was a bit of repetition of previous ideas. So I do like the fact that you've kind of put them all together as a bit of a conclusion to your main rebuttals to the other side. But for me, it didn't really add anything to your debate or to your argument. For the opposition sides, I do like the fact that in society, which we're trying to prepare students for, there are going to be people we work with or socialize with who are higher level, some who are lower level, and if we therefore segregate at a younger age, we're not going to give them the opportunity to socialize and actually interact with these other people. So I think actually that notion you touched on it, but I think actually you could have, at an earlier point in your debate, but I do like the fact that you touched on it in your final round. Looking between the two sides, in terms of the strength of the arguments throughout, I'm going to remain fairly consistent with this one and go for the opposition side as getting my 10 points, mainly because for me, your ideas had a bit more impact than the other teams.
All right. Thank you, Stuart. Theo, I know I said I'm not going to have you go last, but I'm going to have you go last. Uying.
In this particular round, right, I'm still going to use my previous criteria for this particular rounds as well. So first of all, I look at socializing. So I appreciate that both teams try to give me more examples, try to give me more reasoning in here. But honestly, I think since in this particular turn, I need to hear a really clear comparison. Either you explain to me why your factors are more significant than your opponent. Second of all, we want to talk about the teachers. Well, I think that the teachers in here were barely touched by both teams. So you guys basically arguing it against each other on the round of academics abilities. So on the prop side, you change a little bit. You say on our side, we can achieve both, and I appreciate that very, very quick mind of your team. And on there, I can see that you are talking a lot about how, the academic gap is going to be created and everything like that. In response, Upside told me that there's going to be toxic competition. My question for you is, why are those things significant? I think the nice thing in here is that you have a very strong structure. You point out main ideas. but then you fail to push it a little bit harder, to put it into, a concrete idea that the judges can immediately say, yes, this is the reason why offside should win in this particular debate. So I would say that in this particular round, my 10 points will go to the team where I can see the direction now much clearer, and the developments in this particular round is slightly more than the other team, which is the prop side.
All right, thank you, Ering. And Hugh?
As of now, neither side has convinced me really well, including the opposition side. Sitting in this panel of judges, I have found tremendous weakness in your critical thinking and reasoning. I think that matters more than the result of today. Now, with the proposition team, the first fundamental flaw is, yes, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to give examples for by like young adults mixing with old age people group, but that is the fundamental flaw is in the relevance of your example. Your example is totally not relevant at all, because here is primary and secondary school students. They are at a different developmental age compared to young adults and old age people who have fully developed kind of like the development stage already. So trying to find relevant example. Now I do know that you come into this round feeling pressure, but you're trying to kind of like highlight the clashes between the two teams, which I do appreciate, and I think I'm kind of different. I think you do a good job in that one. Now with Nam on the opposition team, to be honest, don't be upset, but I'm not pleased at all with the arguments, because I think from the prelim round, quarterfinal round, semifinal round, you have the same weakness, which is in your debate. Number one, you keep recycling ideas. The second one is, I think I see you as well, is you push things too much to the extreme, like exaggerate the ideas to like the worst case, like mental depression and too much competitiveness, who can't accept defeat. That is, for me, not a smart strategy. You can't exaggerate a situation to the worst case to prove your strength of reasoning. This is not a PT score. I think you come in with the reply speech with a stronger position than the opposition team, and I do mean it, okay? This is a 10 point that you totally deserve. My 10 point go to the proposition team.
Hugh, thank you so much. All right, Ken, I'm not going to ask you how you feel, because I could probably assume how you're feeling right now, but reflecting back on your journey with the debaters, what is something that you've taken with it?
So far, I appreciate all of my opponents because they are all great debaters.
Yeah.
And it's so lucky for me to get into this round, the semi-final, because it's far away from my imagination.
Yeah. For you guys, again, thank you so much for all of this stuff. And Ken, you did a great job. And Nam, I know you're feeling quite happy right now, relieved, a lot less pressure for Anne over here for the final reply speech. So give me a compliment about the other team. It can be Khan, it can be Ji, it can be Chang.
I actually really like how the third speaker kept his calmness, because frankly, I had so much material laid out on me. I didn't, like, my timing, like, I was off.
Yeah.
So I really admire how they kept it in time.
But again, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. So please return back to your seats. Thank you. So currently, right now, Chocochips, they have 30 points. The opposition team, the champions, they have 60 points. There is a large gap right now, and the winner is clear. However, you need to wait for the final reply speech, because we got the British accent versus the future of rap Viet. We will be back after the break with the final reply speech.
Education should never be ageism. Education should be received by everyone in this society, regardless of their age.
On my team, we focus on building characters and make students happy, allowing them to share and socialize with each other.
You can't exaggerate a situation to the worst case to prove your strength of reasoning.
Welcome back to Debaters Season 2. Currently, right now, this is the final reply round. And without further ado, I'm going to get right into it and invite the contestants up. To my right, the proposition team, Team Chocochips. Please welcome Wang, Zhou, Jiang. To my left, the opposition team, the champions. Please welcome Fan Lei, Tai An. All right, girls, you competed in the second round, and now you're returning against each other again in the final reply speech. Jang, and for the viewers at home, she actually just took her IELTS exam, so it's IELTS exam and the debaters at the same time. So we don't know her score yet, but we'll maybe find that out. You can tell us in the future.
Okay.
What's so funny, though?
My parents do not like that.
They don't like what? No, I need to know that. They don't like what?
I took like 2 big things simultaneously. My parents do not like that.
Do they know you're on the debaters?
Yes, they do know.
Okay.
But parents, be proud of me. I'm here, and yes, your daughter's here.
Okay. So hopefully they love you unconditionally.
Yes.
Yes, like the last debate. And Anne, I think you're feeling well.
Well, yes.
Yes?
Uh-huh.
So are you still going to deliver the best possible speech that you can?
Of course I am.
Okay. So girls, the final reply speech. You have 2 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is not open. Opposition team, you will be going first. Proposition team, you will be going second. Do you understand?
Yes.
Wonderful. Let the final reply speech begin.
What is education? Is it a battle of survival? Is it a battle of academic achievements? Or is it a battle of adults' reputation that students are you as warriors to fight? Is it an environment where students come to school and compete with one another instead of developing that friendships? Is that an environment where teachers come to school for the personal promotion opportunity instead of ensuring children's development? That's the exact case that side proposition is bringing to us today. At the very beginning of the day, you bring up a very invalid policy at the first place when you are cutting every single opportunity of students to get into a higher level class through the IQ system. And as our team has proved, it would give them the demotivated mentality, and it would enlarge the gap in the society between those who are smart and those who are not as smart, which will affect their socializing skill as grown-up adults. But in your best case scenario, even when you can promote the good academic performance student into that smart elite group of the society, then those kids will also grow up lacking the cooperation skills or having to deal with that pressures, that expectations coming from people for the rest of their lives. But what about opposition system? On our side, we tell you that we successfully bring out the exclusive benefits to the students in terms of their academic performance and their socialization, as they are not distracted from their the competency and the ability to make friends, and we would also bring the benefit to the teachers in terms of focusing on students' performance and accomplish their morality of teachings, which makes us the only side today to meet that purpose of education, where we provide students with not only knowledge but also the foundation to a more developing future ahead when they actually have the determination and motivation to create their own goal, their own path of lives. And reducing their pressures, but at the same time, we are the only side that can ensure that the teacher come to school in order to develop the students instead of focusing on their own promotion. Side opposition definitely bring home today's debate.
So let's compare what 2 teams bring here today. In terms of environment, we do know that classification exists in both worlds. The opposition side too, that we bring here a toxic and label education. However, they forget to look at their world. The underperformed student still be compared with the better one, and it's even harder because they have to follow the pace of the comprehensive student, and until the end of the day, those underperformed students will be sad at all, and they cannot understand, they cannot study anything because of they have to follow those high quality student pace. So in here, we believe that those underperformed students will be more and more unconfident, so that we believe the environment that the prop side bring here today is even better than the opposition side. So in terms of communication and coordination or socialization and other skills, we believe that it exists on both sides. While one believes that the same age class will bring that, and we believe that the social clubs and the break times and the likes will bring that. So in this clash, I think is the same. In terms of our uniqueness, we believe that we are the one who can deal with the ageism, and we can bring better academic performance of the student, because we are the one who protect those who overage or who to study, and we can bring the better students because we can treat them in like suitable method. So till the end of the day, our student cannot be the champions maybe, but they can have true happiness.
You're done. You're done. I'm sure you want to hear more feedback from the judges. Unfortunately, this is a silent round. You guys, thank you so much. Please return back to your seats. Again, I want to say thank you guys for coming out today. Really appreciate it. But the final results will be announced after the break. Welcome back to the final results of the Debaters Season 2. I know you're probably curious for the final results. I'm not going to drag this on. I'm just going to tell you them straight up front. So to my right, we have Chocochips. You guys took a total of 40 points tonight. So of the judges, you won the hearts of 2 of the judges. Opposition team, the champions, you guys have a total of 65 points. So you got an additional 5 points from one of the judges, so congratulations. So again, the champions, you guys will be moving on to the finals. And I hope you were listening to Hugh when he was saying things earlier, because Team THX is a very strong team. And I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, British University Vietnam. Thank you so much. Audience, judges, thank you so much. Viewers, make sure to have a great night, and we will see you with the final Debaters Season 2 coming up.